All right, so we're going to go ahead and walk through and set up a free HubSpot account. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to go to hubspot.com and something like this will pop up. You're going to click get started for free. Now, I already have an account, so I'm going to create a brand new one. We'll just say consulting, management consulting, owner, Rev Fuel test. Let's just say it's just me. Sure, that's the right website. We're in the US. All right. So if you have never used HubSpot before, one of the things I like, and obviously you've probably never used it if you're watching this video, one of the things I like is they do have a great guided tour. So if you click this, it would just kind of give you a little better walk around, but I know my way around it. So we're just going to kind of skip it and tell them that. What would you like to do with HubSpot first? We're going to go ahead and skip this. And again, I think HubSpot does a great job, but we're going to focus on the sales side of things. Again, we'll go ahead and do this later. All right, we are now inside HubSpot. There's a couple things I want to go ahead and highlight and show in terms of like navigation. One thing I want to note is HubSpot really doesn't have kind of like a homepage. Like you can set your homepage if you want it to be your pipeline, your tasks, your contact homepage, whatever you want it to be. I will show you that later on. Up top over here is where basically this is your main menu. And we have all these different options from, contacts, drop down to companies, conversation where we could have an inbox, marketing things, sales with tasks and deals and meeting links, service if we wanted to, actually have service tickets in here, automation, which obviously on the free version, we don't get that. And then obviously reporting in here. And then to the right, this is our search bar, our search function. We have our app marketplace, kind of a help center, our gear icon, alerts, and another way to basically get to a few other things like your billing and whatnot. And if you were in multiple HubSpot accounts, actually, if you clicked here, it would kind of show other ones and you could jump into all of those. So we're going to go ahead and start, and we're going to click on the gear icon. And we're going to start in settings. And in settings, under your preferences and general, we're going to go ahead and we want to make sure we have things set up. This is where we would go ahead and actually put our profile picture in, our name, all our settings, our phone number. And this is, like I mentioned, where we could pick what do we want our homepage to be. If you're using this, deals might be probably a good idea, or something kind of like tasks. As a salesperson, that's probably where a lot of your time is going to be spent. Next, you'll go ahead and connect your email here. And it's pretty straightforward, and we'll actually go ahead and do it. I like to turn on inbox automation, connect. Yep, connect to Gmail. There we go. Alrighty, we are now connected. Now, I then recommend, I already have the extension, but I recommend downloading the Chrome extension for Gmail. And this is going to be great because then we don't have to always, and it's, again, mine's already connected. It's pretty straightforward. We don't always have to email out of HubSpot for stuff to be logged. A benefit of HubSpot and really any CRM is you want to have everything in one central spot. So that way you can see what your sales team is doing. Everything is there. And with HubSpot, their Chrome extension, you don't always have to work out of HubSpot. In fact, probably 95% of the emails our team sends are in their Gmail directly. But because of that extension, we're able to have all that stuff logged on our prospective customers and our customers. So that's on. We can go ahead and actually add in our signature. You could add in basic details, whatever else you want to say. Or you could obviously put HTML code to add, photos and your logo and anything else you might have. Going on down here, never log. This is where you can decide, like, if you don't want certain things to be logged. Maybe emails sent internally, you don't want those logged. Truthfully, I don't think you have to worry about this at this stage. Again, I told you about the email extension. Next, we're going to go over to calling, and this is right now on the free version. We're not able to connect our phone. If we click this, it would make us upgrade to starter. So really nothing on the phone side we can really do right now. Next, we'll go over to calendar. We do want to go ahead and connect our calendar. And again, just like email, if you're using Gmail or Outlook, it's pretty much the same thing. Perfect. And then tasks, you really don't have to worry about this. This is fine how it is. And that's really it for the settings, at least for you personally. The only thing you might want to do is go into notifications and kind of pick and choose how you get those notifications. Right now email is on and there's all these different options, like when you would get notified. Some things I like to get notified is like if a form is submitted, obviously, if I have new tasks that are assigned to me. There's a few other things as well you can go through and kind of just pick and choose on the email side. You can also set up desktop notifications. I don't really use them, but you can go in here and decide how do you, if you'd like to get notifications this way as well, the same thing. Other apps, you could go ahead and connect Slack and get notifications, hey, when meetings are booked or deals are assigned or anything like that. And then you can go ahead and if you want, you could go and download the mobile app, if you're kind of more in the field. Personally, me, I think it's okay. I really haven't used it much because most of my business is online. It's doesn't really require me ever to be in the field. So I don't really use it much, if at all. And the experience I have, it's obviously it's not as advanced as, the actual desktop version, but it can get the job done until, you get back to the office or your hotel to go and do whatever you actually need to do on your computer laptop. There are other things over here that you would probably go in and do. And I will highlight some of them because, if you're watching this video and you're setting it up, you probably means you are going to, invite other users. And that's where you can go into users and go ahead and invite them, pick their email, put it in. Hit next. This is where you can pick and choose what permissions they have, what they're allowed to do. There are some standard ones right here. And you can go in and decide, right here, there's certain things set. Hey, what can they do with contacts? Can they delete things? Can they own things? Marketing, sales, all these different things, you can set those settings. And then you just click send and they would go ahead and get an invite. We're going to go ahead and cancel because we don't need to invite anyone right now. You could also note, create teams. Oh, actually on our version, we cannot. So ignore that. There are some things that, because I'm really don't work in the free version. Usually we're in professional enterprise. So there's some things that, forgetting what free gives you or does not give you. Going on down to integrations, explore my own. Like I said, this is where we could go to the App Store. We could connect Gmail, which I would definitely recommend doing. Connect email. I mean, if you're using like Zoom, for example, you could go ahead and connect Zoom. There's a bunch of tools I would look and see, what your tech stack is, and see if it can integrate. And there's probably a good chance it can. And that's going to bring in some really powerful data. So let's get out of here. Nothing really else over here you really need to worry about. Data management, this will be a big spot. We'll talk about creating properties in a little bit and objects. And these things down here, you don't really have to explore too much. So that's kind of just a basic overview of the settings. Let's go ahead and dive in and let's talk about objects. And we'll start specifically with contacts. So we'll go over here to contacts and then we'll click contacts again. So in HubSpot, and really in any CRM, they have, these things called objects. A contact is an object, a deal is an object, a ticket is an object, a company is an object. If you come from another CRM, you might see like, a contact, a lead, an opportunity, an account. They're all kind of similar things. Pretty self-explanatory. What a contact is, it's a person. What a company is, it's a company. A deal is that sales opportunity. So starting with contacts, let's go ahead and talk about first, how do you get a contact into HubSpot? Well, there's a couple ways to go ahead and get a contact into HubSpot. Number one is you can manually create a contact. And let me move myself out of the way again. You can click create and you can go ahead and add a contact. We'll do our old brand. Their email in. Oh, that's why. Name. Whoever is the owner of the contact, what their title is, founder. Talking about life cycle stage and lead status. And this is probably a whole nother video that we'll have a topic on. But in theory, life cycle stage is from lead all the way to customer, and really past, I guess you could say, to evangelist. It's kind of just the different, categories as it works its way from, a cold lead to an opportunity to a customer. Lead status is, is a subcategory specifically of leads. So you have a lead, what is that status of that lead? You could have a cold lead, you could have then that MQL, marketing qualified lead, that SQL, and then you have that lead status of, anything that's new, or, hey, this is open or in progress. I'm not a huge fan of these options. I actually usually customize this and change some other options. You can do that. Lifecycle stage, you cannot change that. These are all kind of set in stone. So brand new lead, I'll just set it as maybe a lead and maybe as new. There are other properties as well, but for now, we'll just go ahead and create the contact. So that's one way to create a contact. The other way to create a contact, and really there's two other ways that you'll most likely create contacts, is an importing of a CSV. And then another way is if you have that Google extension, anytime you start emailing people, they're automatically going to start coming to HubSpot. And that's great. I think that's a great thing that HubSpot has. That way you don't have to remember to, let me create this contact or log this information. So a few more things to kind of note before we dive into that specific contact. Again, this is the contact homepage, and there's a lot of things we can really do. Obviously, we don't have a lot of data, so it's a little difficult to like really picture it. But within here, things we can do is we can set up views for ourselves. I want to see all the contacts where, let's say, let's talk about lifecycle stage, all my sales qualified leads. I could go ahead and set up a filter and say life cycle stage is sales qualified. I want to see all these people. Obviously, there's none. I could also go ahead and say, show me, there's over 100 plus properties here alone. And these, there's so many things here. I could say, hey, I want to see all the contacts where I'm the owner. I'd like to see that. That's important to me. I could then save this as a view, click save as new, blah, 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 whatever I want to call it, and save as new. Now I can see all these things on a daily basis. Hey, maybe these are kind of like my hot leads that I need to follow up with. They could all live right here. And you have all these views up here, all contacts, my contacts, which I just created, unassigned contacts, the one we just created. And if I have more views, I can click all views and go ahead and obviously, see all those other views. If we were to do an import, you would just click import right here. An import. So we're going to click start import. Most likely, you're probably going to do it this way. You're importing a list from a file on your computer. Most likely, it's going to be one file. This is where you're picking those objects. So there's probably a good chance that you're just going to be importing like contacts. You might say like, well, what if I have like the companies, or the deals? If you do, in that case, you could just go to multiple objects. And when you click that, you're going to pick and choose, okay, I have contacts and deals. If maybe you're coming over from another CRM. You actually don't have to worry about companies. And I'm going to cancel here. I know I'm kind of jumping around, but there's a cool little setting. If we scroll on down, and we click on companies, and it's not on, but we have some automation, create and associate companies with contacts. So this is really cool because it's just saving us time. That Andrew at hubhelp.co, that's going to actually create that contact, that company. Right now, I probably didn't do it because I didn't turn the automation on. Oh, it looks like it did do it afterwards. So it automatically created that company for me, which is great. So I could click in here and now see Hubhelp as that company. I don't have to manually create it. So this will happen when you're emailing people. It'll bring these people in. Few things to note. If they're like personal emails, Andrew at gmail.com or at Yahoo, it's going to recognize those things. If you are emailing like Google, the company, it's most likely a different domain. It's not Gmail. It's usually like google.com or Google something else. It'll create that as a company, but it recognizes like Outlook or something like that. So that's really nice to know. So let's actually go ahead and we'll go through an import, because I think a lot of people probably want to see how a basic import is done. Again, one file, one object. We're just going to do contacts. We're going to pick contacts right here, hit next. We're going to drag and pick that file. We'll pick this one. Don't know entirely what's on this data. We're going to create an update. Maybe I have contacts in here. I want to update that data. If I just want to create new contacts, I typically always do create an update in case they already live in there. HubSpot will not also create duplicates. It goes by something called a unique identifier, and that for contacts, that is email. So you can't have two, there's only one Andrew at hubhelp.co in the world. There's not multiple of them. So obviously we're not going to have multiple contacts in there. The only time you could technically have multiple contacts is if, you have a person and they have a different email address. You can go ahead and merge them and make sure it's one person. But, you can obviously, there's multiple John Smiths in the world. There's probably multiple Andrew Blocks, obviously. So, what I like doing is create an update. English, what next? And now this is where we need to go ahead and map the fields from my document, my CSV, to the fields in HubSpot. So on the left, these are all the fields. These are the column headers. So we have first name. And again, HubSpot's going to kind of read all this stuff. And as you can see, it's checked and mapped. So we're good to go. Something like this. It looks like I have company name twice on here. What I'm actually going to do is click don't import, because I don't need to bring that in. There's all these other properties that honestly I don't really care about. But again, I would just go through and map out what I want to bring over. A lot of these things I don't care about. I'm just going to click don't import. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to hit I agree. I could name my import. It's up to you if you really want to go ahead. You could also create a list. Again, that's up to you. We're going to finish import, and it should go ahead and import all this data for us. Now you can see import 19 rows, 19 new records, nothing's been updated. Could look over here, no errors, or 19 values, not, you'll see the errors, excuse me, down here. So it looks like what contact owner didn't come over. So if we click over here, you can kind of see, we'll view all the contacts. These are all the contacts that we went ahead and imported. So let's dive into that actual contact that we created, but we'll go through and we'll just do Andrew Block. So in terms of a contact, this is what an actual contact looks like. There's three main sections. The left side is basically all our fields and properties. They're the same thing. I'm going to say that field and property throughout this. It's the same exact thing. That data, that first name, that last name, all those different things. This is how HubSpot sets it up by default. I can actually go ahead and change that view. I tend to do that. The middle is basically all of our activities, like, if any marketing emails are sent, if we made any phone calls, any meetings. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of back end stuff. Hey, they submitted a form. They viewed a page that we have connected to HubSpot via our website. There's all this information. There's so much value. And I think people don't understand that with a CRM. Like, hey, you have a prospect that has disappeared, but you're able to see that, hey, they're viewing pages on your website or opening marketing emails. That's so powerful, because I'm going to give that person a call or an email. Might not be like, hey, I see you're looking around at our website. Although I think people nowadays know that's going on, but like, that's so powerful. And people don't realize that. So again, middle is activities. And then the right-hand side is like, what is this contact associated to? So this contact is associated to a company. There's no deals here. There's no tickets. There's all these other things as well. We'll really kind of just worry about these two. So in the middle, we have notes. These are more just like internal. People will be like, oh, I leave notes for calls and stuff like that in there. I would do that in the call section or the meeting section. I like to do this more like internally. Something that maybe I want to share with my team. I could go in and do the @ sign. Now, no one else is in here, but I could go ahead and tag that person. So again, I use this more like internal stuff. You can use kind of how you want. Email. This is where our email is. You have this log email, but theoretically, you should not really be using it for the most part, because you're either creating an email and sending it directly in here, just like this, or again, you are sending emails in here. And if you downloaded that Chrome extension, we got to turn this on. You'll see this is all HubSpot stuff right here. Anything I send, it's going to go ahead and log that. So you really should never need to use this log email for the most part. Same thing as just sending a normal email, boom, 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 send it. It is sending to myself, so that obviously doesn't make sense. Oh, wait, no, to this email. Pretty straightforward. Calling, like I said, we don't have calling where we can't log through here. We can go ahead and just manually log our calls. What was the call outcome? These can all be changed. What was the direction? Was this inbound? Was it an outbound call? Here are my notes, whatever it may be, and log that call. Tasks. I think this is like the best feature in HubSpot. I mean, it's basic, but I can't remember what I had for breakfast. How am I supposed to remember to follow up with a prospect from 3 months ago? I create a task for that, follow up. And I can create this. All right. Hey, this Andrew guy said follow up in a month. I'm not going to remember it. Put it right there. It's in there. There's also another spot we can go ahead and see it. And then meetings. This is where we could go ahead and log meetings. And if you have your calendar connected, it'll actually, when you create calendar events in Google, it will automatically log it on, whatever contact you book it with, which is great. You could also manually log meetings just like you manually logged a call. Hopping into companies, again, it's the same view. The data, though, this is the data for that company, city, state, website, whatever it may be, the information. And then now this is, hey, what if there's multiple contacts associated to that contact? That will live here. And in terms of that activity, if you're emailing multiple people at the same company, all of that stuff will now live here. And then let's actually go ahead and create a deal for this person. And for me, what is a deal? A deal is an opportunity. At what point does a lead become an opportunity? That depends on your sales process. I think a good rule of thumb is something like, there's a sales meeting. Either a sales meeting was maybe booked, or maybe a sales meeting was completed and it went well and there's a potential fit. For us, anytime that we have a sales meeting booked, we go ahead and create a deal. I know other companies, they still consider that a lead. They won't make it an actual opportunity or deal until, hey, that first meeting is had and there's some interest there. It's not like, whoa, we're in left field, you're in right field. What are we doing here? They don't consider that a deal yet. Depends on your sales process. I think a good rule of thumb is like, if you have a meeting, hey, it's a deal, it's an opportunity. So this is where you'd go ahead and create a deal, name your deal. You only have one pipeline right now. Put it in your stage. In this case, appointment scheduled. If we know the amount or we think we have an estimated close date, who's the deal owner, can fill out some of these other properties, and then we'll go ahead and create a deal. And again, the same thing. It's the same view. And the cool thing is, as you can see, you can do all these activities from different spots. I can email Andrew from here. I can email from the company. I can email from the contact. All of that stuff is going to live. So it's not like, oh, to see something, I got to go to the deal, but I don't see it on the contact. So let's go into the pipeline. Again, clicking sales, deals. This brings you to our pipeline. There are a couple views. We have a list view. I'm a visual person. I love the Kanban view. It's just a great representation of like, hey, where are we at? What's in there? How many opportunities do we have? What's almost going to be a closed deal? Great view. So this by default is our pipeline. You can go ahead and change it to match your sales process. I recommend, whatever the major steps taking, from an opportunity to a closed won deal, those are your different stages. But pretty straightforward. As stuff happens, you can go ahead and just click and drag and move it to those different stages in your pipeline. And hopefully you keep moving it. You have meetings, you send a contract, and eventually you move it to one. Awesome, which would be great. So pretty straightforward how to use it. Again, you can go in here and create a deal as well. If you wanted to, if you have a lot of people, just like the contact homepage, you can set up views. You could set up views as well. If you have multiple salespeople and you want to filter down, hey, I want to see just Andrew's deal. You can go ahead and do that and it will get rid of everyone else. I mean, maybe you're using like deal type. You want to see, new business. You don't want to see existing business. Or you create a custom property to show like the different service packages you're offering or solutions. You could filter by those things. So let's go ahead and let's now talk about tasks. Again, I think my favorite feature. Tasks is basically, these are your reminders. I know people use like Google Calendar or Snooze or stuff like that. CRM, it's supposed to be that like, it's called contact relationship management, customer relationship management. I think it's like central database relationship management. All of your things about your prospects are, should kind of be in here. All your activities, everything should live in here. You really shouldn't have to go outside of your CRM too often in terms of sales and marketing. So all your tasks, again, under sales task, you come here and all of your tasks are going to go ahead and live here. And this is great. You could create a task. Hey, call Joe Schmo, whatever. I can go ahead and, pick the type as a call task. I can associate it to a specific contact. That random one. I could go ahead and assign it to a person. Don't really need to worry about the queue. Set the due date. Okay, this is due in a week. And I can go ahead and create that task. And if I click here, it'll show all of them. And I can go ahead and set views for myself. Hey, I only want to see tasks that are due today, maybe overdue tasks, maybe things that are upcoming. Again, you can kind of set these views here. So tasks, great function, great feature, super easy to use, super easy to create tasks. You can click on this task here. I need to complete this task. And now it's going to bring me to that contact where I could go ahead and do whatever that thing is and click complete. And now we're done. And we completed the task. And maybe we need to create another. We'd go there and create our task. So very straightforward on how to use tasks. A few other things we'll go over is meetings. A lot of people are probably using Calendly. There are integrations, but like, why not just use HubSpot's version, which is very comparable. It's basically the same thing. You'll connect your calendar like we did earlier. You'll go in here. You have a calendar link by default. It's going to look something just like this. You can set all your things, the questions they need to fill out, and then confirm. You can go in and actually edit it. And this is where you can go ahead and set up, the name, what that name on the calendar will look like, the location. You can then go ahead and set a few other things like, hey, what's your time, when you're available? If you even wanted to go in and add in maybe some questions, you could go ahead and do that as well. So pretty straightforward in terms of setting up a calendar. And then we'll go on over, we're going to go back into the settings, and we do want to talk about a few things over here in terms of HubSpot's free version. So in terms of properties, you probably want to create some custom properties. An example might be on your deals. You want to have your packages. So you'd pick the object type, which is deal, the group. You don't really need to worry about this. This is kind of just where it lays out on a deal. Typically, I always pick information. You pick package. If you want to put a description, you could. And then you pick your field type. You have single line text, multi-line text, single checkbox, multi-checkbox, packages. You're probably going to do something like a drop-down select, package 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then hit create. And that, now when I go to that deal or that property, I can only pick one of those. So there's a ton of properties already in here. You get up to 10 on the free version. So you can go ahead and pick and choose and decide, hey, what data is important to you that you want to go ahead and track. I recommend going through a lot of these because a lot of the data you might need to track probably already lives there. Another thing we also want to do is we want to go to the objects. I'm going to set some views, how we see that data. So if we go to record customization, and where you'll probably play around is right here, customize the left sidebar. That is how we choose what data we see. So if we remember, on the left-hand side, we had this data. Right now, there's only 4 things. There's a bunch of other properties, but we don't need to see everything. But we just created that property package. We want to put that in there. Now we can save it. Now we can go to our deal. And now we will go ahead and see that it lives down here, and we can pick and choose. Hey, they're package 2. There we go. Now, if you did want to see, hey, what about all those other fields you said there was, Andrew? If you click actions, view all properties, this is where all of them actually will live. So there's obviously some other things in here, the amount. You can see some other properties. So a few other things I do want to note before we wrap things up really on the sales side is going over to reports and dashboards. HubSpot gives you some pretty good dashboards that have some standard reports already on different things. So your email, your marketing, in terms of, there's a few for sales, actually. There's 4, and each one has, this one has 5 reports. This one has 8. This one has 9. So you've got 25, 30 different reports right then and there. You can go ahead and pick and choose. And now, if we actually go to reports, we go to our dashboard. Now you're going to go ahead and see that sales dashboard. And if we had other dashboards, they'd live in here. We could always create another dashboard. But now you'll be able to see all these different reports that they have. One note on the free version, you can't customize these, or you can't create custom reports. You can go ahead and kind of play around with some of the data on here, add some filters. Hey, I want to see team activities, but I only want to see like Andrews. You could go ahead and obviously do that and set the date range. But you are a little limited in terms of what you have in terms of reporting. But that's really about it. That is a good overview in terms of setting up the sales side of HubSpot for the free version. In another video, we'll go ahead and cover the marketing side, and then we'll probably go ahead and cover the service side as well. But if you do have any questions, feel free to comment, reach out, set up a call with our team. We're setting up HubSpot portals daily for clients, whether it's something like free like this, or starter, or professional, or even on the enterprise level. So hope you all enjoyed.